Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome to Watch This Now. I have a very interesting new horror movie recommendation for anyone out there willing to spend $7 on a 48-hour rental. Sea Fever is an aquatic body horror film about a young marine biology college student who has to go out on a stay on a boat for like a week and do scuba diving. She's got to do this in order to get her degree. But how do I put this? She's a tad socially awkward. She doesn't really care for people, kind of like most people on the internet, so she has the real challenge of actually dealing with this working class crew of sailors. So when a strange creature attaches itself to the ship, our protagonist has to figure out a way to work with this crew in order to understand what is up with this green slime that is invading the boat and their bodies. Look, I don't like to ruin stuff for you guys. I try to be vague so you can go in and have your own experience with a movie, but I do want to give you the right idea of what you're in for with Sea Fever, because I went in expecting a creature feature, which it technically is, but the focus is more on body horror and the horrors of being isolated at sea, which might not sound like the best time right now. Personally, I love water, oceans, lakes, bathtubs, get me in it. Any movie that has to do with the ocean, anything that has underwater photography, that is candy to my eyes, give it to me. And I love horror films, duh. You might notice that if you stick around on this channel. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I don't think you could ever have too many aquatic horror films. The limit does not exist. And you'll never be able to tell me that Deep Blue Sea sucks, because I'm always gonna love Deep Blue Sea. But I do have to say, this is a movie about people trapped on a boat out in the ocean with a substance infecting them. So it might not sound like the hottest ticket to everyone right now, but if that sounds like a good time to you and you're interested in something that feels like The Thing at sea, then stick with me. Let's talk about the strongest aspect of Sea Fever, and that is that it is a very character-driven horror film. Our main character, Shaban, is this socially isolated woman who doesn't even want to hang out with her own classmates, let alone make new friends, but it does set up a really interesting juxtaposition throughout the film where you have this girl who's doesn't even know how to talk to people, and then these people who are, cracking all kinds of jokes and being a little silly, and there's this really interesting scene near the beginning where Siobhan is talking with Connie Nielsen's character. They're looking over the side of the boat at this glowing plankton in the water, and Siobhan's like, oh yeah, that's the type of plankton that glows. And then Connie Nielsen's character ends up telling her this ocean folklore story about why the water is glowing. It's very interesting, and I enjoyed that. And a lot of these horror films will have that one scene where the characters are just hanging out, and it's how we get to know them, and it's the one kind of fun, nice scene in the middle of all of the horror. Usually that happens in the beginning and it introduces all of the characters, but that type of scene happens halfway through Sea Fever, and it's used very effectively, although it does kind of turn into the dinner scene from Alien. But this is where it gets difficult, because there are plenty of really interesting characters in this movie. They're all very flawed, they feel quite real and everything, except for Shaban. She kind of sucks, and she's the protagonist. She's the one that we're stuck with. And I think the actress Hermione Corfeld does a really good job with the role. I mean, she does make you want to root for her. However, the character herself, she isn't likable at all. The way that the movie plays out, you're forced to be with this character for most of the time. However, her arc and the way that things go don't exactly connect with me. I didn't really care about that. I actually watched this movie a second time because the ending, once it gets to it, it just didn't work for me. And on the second viewing, I was like, okay, I get it, and I see what we're doing here. I don't even want to say it doesn't feel earned, it just didn't work. And I get it, you have this character who doesn't really care about people, stuck in this very human situation, and it's how does someone react who is thinking about this more mechanically as opposed to emotionally, and how that ends up creating a rift with the other people who are thinking emotionally. And I mean, it's kind of interesting, but things weren't explored in a way that made me go, oh wow, I really care about this character now, or oh, these are some really interesting themes to explore. We don't get at all why Shaban is so isolated and closed off. That's just her. That's just who she is, and as she goes about things, she certainly does open up, but then again, I can't even really get into it. And in between all of the typical beats that we expect to see out of something like Sea Fever, we don't get a bunch of action or anything interesting to keep us glued glued to the screen. The movie is just really doing its thing for a good chunk of the time, and then when we get to the last 10 minutes, stuff just kind of wraps up, and it doesn't have a, I hate to say explosive ending, because I'm not just looking for a bunch of shit to blow up, I just wanted a very strong narrative ending. For some, it might work, what does happen. For me, no. But I do love my aquatic horror, I love my creature features, I love weird stuff. This has a lot going for it. I would say the thing that they inject into this movie in order to flesh it out with some originality is by having the main character hate people and act like a computer. So, I'm gonna give Sea Fever a 3 out of 5. It was an enjoyable, good time. I actually even liked it more on the second watch, but it doesn't do a whole lot to make itself memorable all on its own. What did you guys think of Sea Fever? Let me know in the comments below, because this one's kind of different, but what are you guys doing to keep yourself entertained these days? Is anyone else actually renting shit on VOD? Like, I never rent stuff. I straight up bought this movie because it was $3 more to buy over rent, and I was like, well, I'm a bargain man. What can I say? Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and share it with your friends because I'm shameless. Help me. That's it for this video, guys, but I won't stop you from watching another.